Right, today we're going to do, it's all about your mental attitude that you've got to start working on, eh? We all know by now people do what they do because of what they believe. If you've got a fraught belief system, your life is going to be fraught. You can't walk around with an empty head. That's impossible. There's thoughts going on inside you all the time. And these thoughts have been built into you over a period of time. And many of the thoughts pop up automatically in your life when you are affronted, or when you are disappointed, or when things don't go your way, and then there's this bad negative reaction. And when that bad negative reaction doesn't get sorted out, it goes again, and it goes again, and strangely enough, every time it gets worse. When you leave a little child alone to throw a tantrum when they're small, the tantrums get worse and worse and worse. Eventually, when they get to teenager size, dan is daar groot moeilikheid, soos julle weet. And then radical intervention has to take place. Otherwise, a tronk of malhuis of lijkshuis. So, understand one thing, what we're doing now is we're having a look at the habits of the mind. We're looking at what is going on inside my mind, and we're starting to cultivate a positive mental attitude. And it's only you that can change your attitude. I can't change it for you. God can't change it for you. That's your prerogative. It is your privilege to decide what you want to do in life. God, as big as He is, as wonderful as what He is, does not want a bunch of robots. So He's not going to dictate to you what you must decide to do. He will give you advice. He's given you an entire textbook full of information. He's given you lots of examples in history. There's a lot of people around you that give testimony. There's lots of lessons that we can learn from nature. But at the end of the day, what happens in your life, it's what you decide. Nah? Okay, so now we're going to start building some positive stuff into your minds. Value life's little blessings. There's small little things happening around you all the time. Start taking notice of these things. Just a word of kindness, just a little interaction going on between two animals. Something like that. God has got some little scene going on all the time around you, that if you take the time to notice these things, you're going to learn some incredible, lovely little lessons. You've got to learn to value the small things in life. Zechariah 4 verse 10 says, "For who has despised the day of small things?" Amazingly, if you go and do a little bit of research, you'll find out that all of these huge, big companies that today are in the top 100 companies in the world, all started off with one small idea. And many of them started off with that guy trying that idea out in his garage, trying to make something work. Carried on and believed in what he was doing until he made it work. And today you've got huge companies. But where did they start? Small little idea in the mind. The guy started developing it. And it grew, and he saw that this thing is of benefit to a lot of people. And today there are millions and millions of people buying those products. But they started small. Don't despise the small things. May we never let the things we can't have, or don't have, or shouldn't have, spoil our enjoyment of the things we do have and can have. A lot of wisdom in that. There's a nice little picture that goes along with it. I caught Tannie Anneke having a little nap on one of the pigs that we had here, and the dogs were running around her, and she was just enjoying the moment. Okay, may we never let the things we can't have. There's a lot of things in life that God does not want you to have, and that you can't have, simply because you don't have the ability to have it, or don't have, because you haven't got it, or shouldn't have because it's bad for you to have it. Don't let that spoil the enjoyment of the things that you do have and can have. Right. There was an old woman called Hetty Green. True story. Lived from 1834 till 1916. She was known as the Witch of Wall Street. You all know what Wall Street is, ne? It's a stock exchange in America. The biggest stock exchange in America. When you've got your company noted on Wall Street, you've arrived. You're making mega bucks. Now this old lady was known as the Witch of Wall Street. Daar's 'n foto van haar. Ja. Kwaai ou vrou. She never turned on the heat, nor used hot water in her houses. She wore one old black dress and undergarments that she changed only after they were worn out. She did not wash her hands and rode in an old broken down carriage. She didn't wash her hands because she believed she's wasting soap. She ate mostly pies that cost 15 cents. She spent half a night searching in her carriage for a lost stamp worth 2 cents. She instructed her laundress to wash only the dirtiest part of her dresses, the hems, to reduce the cost of soap. In her old age, she began to suffer from a bad hernia, but refused to have an operation because it cost $150. Estimated of her net worth ranged between 100 to 200 million in those days, which presently would be equal to $1.9 to $3.8 billion in 2006. She was one of the richest women at that time in the world, but she did not enjoy the small little things in life. Wrong attitude. Al daai geld het van haar 'n mislike ou heks gemaak. Because she refused to enjoy the things in life that are just small and simple that God wanted her to have. Why did he give her all that money? Mens wonder, ne? Paul Getty, billionaire, lived from 1892 to 1975. I'm just showing you what people's mindsets can be like. They got everything in life, but they miss out on the important things. Daar's die ou snaar. He made his first million in 1916 at the age of 24. Then million was still a million. No, as almal millionaires. During 1920s, he added 3 million to his already sizable estate. Just 4 years later, he had already made another 3 million. Getty wrote a very successful book entitled How to Be Rich. He had a formula for success. Rise early, work hard, strike oil. He made his money from oil. Now, here comes the crux of the matter. On July 10, 1973 in Rome, his 16-year-old grandson was kidnapped and a ransom of 17 million was demanded. Paul Getty number 2 asked his father, the old man, for the money, but was refused. In November 1973, an envelope containing a lock of hair and a human ear was delivered to a daily newspaper with a threat of a further mutilation unless 3.2 million was paid. The guys had come down with their price. Seriously. This is Paul's ear. If we don't get some money within 10 days, then the other ear will arrive. In other words, he will arrive in little bits. At this point, J. Paul Getty agreed to pay a ransom subject to negotiating the fee, and Paul too repaying the sum at 4% interest. Paul III, the grandson, was permanently affected by the trauma and became a drug addict. I'd also become a drug addict if my grandfather thought that little of me. In 1981, Paul III was rendered speechless, blind and paralyzed for the rest of his life by a cocktail of drugs and alcohol. Al daai ou man se rykdom. Sy kleinkind se lewe was vir hom niks werd nie. Wrong mental attitude. What's more important than money? Family relationships. Family relationships. I want you people to remember that, because you're going to come out of this program at some stage and there's a lot of people that have invested a lot of money in your life. And what really has happened in your inside, it will come out when these people start seeing whether or not you are really appreciating just their love for you, and whether or not you are prepared to, when they are in their old age, to start taking care of their needs. Because when you were young and messing up, they were prepared to take care of your needs. What am I saying? You'll find out. I don't think money can buy health. This is what he came to realize at the end of his life. And I don't think money can buy a good time. Some of the best times I have ever had didn't cost any money. That's now Mr. Getty. But it cost him his grandson's life. There's a thing that we call a paradox of discontentment. Basically, it means that we are never satisfied with what we got. The healthier we are, the worse we feel. Why is that? Because we can never be satisfied. The more we have, the more we want. In 1900, people lived until the age of 47. Now we live until the age of 75. In the 1920s, reporting of sick accounted for half of today's absenteeism. More suicide and depression now than ever, despite our increased knowledge in medicine and psychology. Ons sluk onsself dood aan die pille, maar ons bly siek. And the more pills we swallow, the more messed up our minds get. I think some of you have come to realize that. The more gadgets and toys, the more the people are bored. We made our own toys when we were lighties. We were never bored. Today's kids, hulle het alles wat jy aan kan dink. Check hulle. Hulle is vrek verveeld. Crazy, isn't it? More excitement and more entertainment and more addictions. Time for a reality check. This is a visual reality check. Ma beklei met die lightie. Jy moet jou kamer aan die kant maak. Was 'n bietjie die skottelgoed vir 'n slag. Help jou pa, vat die vuil goed uit. Wara. Wat doen hy? Ag, jou man. Loop van die huis af weg. Word 'n junkie. Al twee hierdie meisiekinders is dood vandag. That one was just 18 months after she left home. Look what she looked like. ICU. I see you full of paper en allerlei goede. Die boertjies kom kuier. Ons beland in daai plek. Dan word ons gewoonte misdadigers. Or we bummed out on the streets. Or we're full of holes from dirty needles and HIV infected. Or we've been sucking on the back part of a thick pipe for too long. Or we blow our brains out because the depression gets too much. Real contentment. 1 Timothy 6 verse 6, but godliness with contentment is great gain. The closer I live to God, amazingly, doesn't matter what I've got, the happier I am. The happier I am. For we brought nothing into the world, and it is clear that we can carry nothing out. Paul Getty, daai ou heks vir 'n vrou, al daai mense gaan een of ander tyd vrek en ander mense vat hulle geld en gaan mors dit uit. So we all die. But before we die, we can end up in jail, we can end up in a madhouse, we can end up with our brains messed up. Worst of all, we can die long before we're supposed to die and have not enjoyed life. But having food and clothing, we will be content. And it doesn't have to be designer jeans and a special type of tacky and that and that. Job 1:21, and he said, I came naked out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return there. Jehovah gave, and Jehovah has taken away. Blessed be the name of Jehovah. And we all know the story of Job. He lost his family, he lost everything that he had. His wife told him, why don't you just curse God and die? And he said, what doesn't matter what God does, it doesn't matter what state of condition I am in this life, the Lord has given, and the Lord has a right to take away, and I will continue to bless the name of the Lord. And what happened with Job in the end? The Lord gave him twice as much as what he ever had before. Matthew 6:34, therefore do not be anxious about tomorrow, for tomorrow shall be anxious for its own things. Sufficient to the day is the evil of it. Every single day has got its own little challenges. So challenges I can handle when my attitude is right, because I am happy no matter what the world throws at me, no matter what the devil throws at me, no matter what anybody tunes me about what, I'm going to be happy today. I'm going to enjoy every small little blessing that God gives me to the full. If you make up your mind to do that, that's how your days will go. Enjoy the little things in life, for one day you'll look back and realize they were the big things. The small blessings God gives us. The love of a family. Don't throw your family relationships away. You are going to need these people. They are your support system when you leave the center. You're going to need them. If you don't have physical family, you can be assured that you've got spiritual family. Lots of brothers and sisters around if you just start looking for them. Take care of the real friends who care for you. Who are the friends that really care for you? Amen. The people that correct you when you're wrong. Why? Because they care. They don't want to see you go down the tube. They don't want to see you mess up. They don't want to see you damage yourself. They care for you. Those are real friends. They're not always the best popular friends to have around, because they're not going to get involved with the crap that you're getting involved with. And they'll try and stop you from doing it. But those are real friends. A healthy body. That's why we make you guys do PT. Want to sweat all the poison out. And so that you can start feeling what it's like when your body is nice and healthy and clean and strong. Not sickly and cranky all the time. You have the freedom to choose. Some of you might feel that you are forced into the program. But I'm sure that once you spent a little bit of time in TLC and a little bit of time there in solitary and some shackles on your feet and so on and so forth, you start realizing, hey, maybe I was wrong. Maybe there's sense in what these people are saying to me. Maybe I have gone a little bit astray in my head. Miskien is my kop 'n bietjie skeef. Let me get my head sorted out. God always gives me the right to choose. I got a warm bed to sleep in. The ability to laugh and smile at the world. It was quite amazing now while we were on holiday, how many people we found sleeping in the streets. Just under a little ledge. Klompie komberse en 'n stuk ding. Kaartbord onder die kop, slaap net daar op die beach. Then you realize, the ability to laugh and smile at the world. Shame, hy's 'n albino gorilla, maar hy is nog vol vreugde. He's just happy to be alive. Pink lips and all. Beautiful landscapes. Each new morning. It's a new opportunity to live, bless the Lord and thank the Lord and learn something in life. Songs to sing. A Bible verse to encourage us. Ephesians 5:20. Always giving thanks for all things in the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, to God, even the Father. All things. You start thanking the Lord for the fact that you can be on this program. You'll see what will change. Your attitude about the program will change. Your mind will start opening up. You'll start suddenly understanding things. Keep your mind closed off, in a fraught groove. The program is not nice. It's goor. Can't wait to get away here. Just until you change your attitude and say, thank you, Lord, that I've got this privilege to learn. And then you see your mind starts opening up and you start seeing things differently.